Hey, good day, fine people of planet Earth. Hopefully this video will sound a bit better than the last one. I think I had some volume issues with the last one. So let's dive right into this, okay? The title of the video, I guess, is going to be something along the lines of help, I've tried everything, I feel like giving up, it's just not working. Something along those lines, okay? Why? Because one of the questions I receive more so than others is, you know, and it's just repetitive constantly, despite all the videos, despite all the information that's out there. Constant question that keeps coming up is, um, in fact, let me read it because I received it today from one of the people I am working with. And the question is, here you go. Person was at least aware enough to say, sorry, I know I keep repeating this, but here's the question. I'm having difficulty keeping my ex out of my head daily. Okay? So let's dive right into this. But first, let's have a few blueberries, because blueberries are really good for you. And they're delicious. Not the cheapest fruit around, super expensive. Well, not super expensive, but off season they are. Anyway. So for the longest time where I lived before, um, there was like near my front door, some bees had like nested in there. And I was okay with it. I had no problem with those bees. They were they were cool. And I love bees. And I saw a lot of good in having them there. You know, they pollinate all the trees and plants and flowers and everything. And it's healthy. It's just good. But something came about and I had to like get rid of the bees, right? So it was a daily battle. These bees, and there was an entire swarm of them, like an entire like nest in this thing near my front door, where they'd gotten into this crack, and yeah, they just nested. And every day, like there would just be a swarm of bees around my front door. And again, I was fine with that. I had access to my house through my garage door, so it was cool, and I liked the bees. But yeah, when it came time to try to get rid of them, it was a daily battle, like daily. And it took me, I would say, like good couple of years to finally get rid of them. And keep in mind, it was like a couple of years of daily battle against these bees. And nature is tough. You know, nature knows how to fight. Uh, so what was happening was these bees were basically they had found a crack and they'd like created their hive, you know, behind some walls, very hard to reach. And I know it sounds really mean, but the way I started fighting or battling against them was to seal them in. So I would get plaster, uh, and then eventually I'd get stucco, which is this really, it's like very strong plaster. And well, at night when they would go to bed and sleep, I would go out with my flashlight, find the cracks that they were using to come in and out, and I would seal it with plaster or concrete, right? And the next morning I would wake up and guess what? They would have found a way out. They would have drilled, you know, or carved a hole through the plaster that I did, and they'd just find a way out. But the hole that they made the next day was smaller, and every day it would be the same sort of battle. They'd make new holes, and I'd fill the holes up. And for months, people were telling me this is not the way to do it. You know, you got to go about it the other. You know, you got to hire someone. They're going to come in and they're going to like create all this damage, break a hole through the wall, and then remove the hive, right? But I was convinced that just with persistence and daily, just you got to fight, right? Daily battle, I could do this by myself and not only save a lot of money, but just do it for me, it was a good challenge. I enjoyed the challenge. So, as I said, like every day, and then if I would slip, if I would, like, let's say, take a couple of days off, which I did, because I'd get tired, like I'd get lazy. Sometimes at night I wouldn't be in the mood. I'd be tired from training. I had a lot of work to do. I wouldn't be in the mood to go out at night with the flashlight and seal it up. Eventually, I was doing this so frequently that I had the plaster right next to the crack outside. So it was just outside next to it. I'd go out and I'd scoop some out and I'd just fill the hole, go back in my house, and then the next day I'd notice, if they'd created a new tunnel out. Anyway, so this would go on for, months, until I remembered something that someone once told me about how to seal your house to prevent mice from coming in, because my house was in the middle of the country, right? So it's like a lot of nature around there, including mice and all kinds of things. So for the mice, what they suggested was, when you find a crack or a hole, you put iron wool. So it's like this iron wool. Look it up, Google it, okay? You can use it to clean like metal and whatever. So I'd put it in there in the hole, and then I'd put the plaster over the iron wool. So then I thought, let me try that with the bees. And when I started doing that, so it wasn't just one thing that I was doing, not just the plaster, but it was, now I added something else to the mix. I noticed that the bees were no longer coming out of the holes that I was plugging with the iron wool. They were trying to find other ways out now. So they were on the back foot, they were struggling more. The tide started to change. The table started to turn. Anyway, so this went on again. It was a daily battle. It went on for about a month, every day doing this, until one morning I woke up to the sound of what it sounded like, just like a gas pipe or a water pipe had burst. It was like the loudest hissing sound. And I was like, what is that? I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, it can't, where I lived, it was like dead silent. It's just nature and birds and nothing. And then suddenly there's this loud hissing noise. I'm like, oh crap, what's going on? And I went out, and there was this massive swarm of bees. And I was just like, oh shit. But in the back of my mind, I kind of had an idea of what was going on. And anyway, I went back inside and spent like a few hours working, and then the sound just disappeared and vanished. So I go out, and a few meters away, or a few feet away for anyone who's in the States, on one of my plum trees, the entire hive that was in the walls had come out and attached itself to the plum tree. And it was nuts. So basically, to cut a long story short, if it's not too late to already do that, the bees had given up and realized that this isn't a good place to live, and they managed to get out, but this time when they were able to get out, they fled. They left. And I was worried in the coming days that they were going to be on that plum tree, but they wound up leaving completely. So the entire swarm just left. So the queen must have come out, and left with the swarm. And knock on wood, that, where the hive had been for so long, for years, finally gone. Now, if only I could get in there and have some of the honey they left, but too difficult to get. So why am I talking about bees? What does this have anything to do with trying to get over your ex or trying to get over something difficult? It's not just an ex. Let's say there's someone who's bullying you, or someone who's irritating you, or someone who's gotten into your head, or something that's gotten into your head. Porn addiction. It can be, any type of addictive, repetitive thought that you're just struggling with letting go. So the moral of the bees story is that thoughts, recurring, repetitive thoughts, are as aggressive as those bees. And I believe that one of the main reasons why people struggle, with trying to let's go back to my client's question. I'm having difficulty keeping my ex out of my head daily. Keep in mind, this is someone who I've been working with for a month, probably repeating the same thing over and over and over again, right? But the question still persists. Why? Well, two reasons. Because, first of all, when you're fresh out of a breakup or this is all fresh and it's just a process that you're beginning, you're not thinking clearly. You're going by emotion. You're not focusing properly. And in this particular case, with this particular client, when I started working with him, he was pretty much fresh out of a breakup. So literally, as he was breaking up, we started working together. Okay, he's done really well in a month. He's come a long way, but anyway, let's get back to, I don't want to go into too much detail about him, but it's important to understand that when you are in an emotional state, you're going through withdrawal. It's hard to be aware. It's hard to think clearly. It's one of the reasons why no contact is important, because you can mess things up. Because if you're communicating from that place of panic, emptiness, you're just not thinking straight. You're not you. You're in this panic mode. You can make things much worse. With the things you say and things you do. You'll behave in a way it's not you. Okay? So yeah, part one is, well, because why is he still asking this after a month? Well, because probably for the last month, it's been so difficult for him that he's just been more emotional rather than, thinking logically, right? Or being able to step back and be aware. Although he has come a long way, and it's finally starting to see things clearly, right? But the other reason, which goes back to the bees, is because a lot of people don't take this as seriously as they should. This is fucking serious. This is not a joke. The thoughts that are recurring are as aggressive as bees or a virus that's in your body. I don't want to say cancer. Cancer is a bit too extreme, but think of like a severe fungal or bacterial infection that's just growing, and every day you've got to be battling against it, right? So I think one of the main reasons why people struggle and can't move forward, and can't let go and just constantly are thinking, and just stuck, stuck. I did a video about that a while ago, right? I still feel stuck. Why? I've done a lot of videos on this, but one of the main reasons is because you're not taking your adversary seriously. You're just like shrugging it off, and you're like, it's just thoughts. Like, why am I still, God, why am I still thinking, of this person? Why is this person still in my head? Why can't I move forward? Well, you got to understand what you're dealing with here is like an infestation. It's like something that's taking over, and it's growing, and it grows. And what gives it strength is the more and more you put your attention on those thoughts, or anything that will trigger those thoughts, which is why one of the most important things you've you've got to start doing is, or better way to put it is, what you've got to stop doing is looking at their Facebook, looking at their Twitter, looking at their Instagram, talking, or receiving new information about them. Like if you're talking to mutual friends and the mutual friend says, "Oh, did you hear about so and so?" You've got to stop, and you're going to say, "Stop! I don't want to know. I don't need any more." That infestation, those bees, the swarm of thoughts that are in my head. I need to weaken. I don't want to strengthen them. What's going to strengthen them? It's anything that's going to fuel those thoughts, right? So if you see something in your house, like a gift that they gave you, or if you look at their photos, or if you go on their social media and you see what they're doing, it's just going to fuel, okay? And yeah, of course it's hard. It's a battle. You're in a battle. So yeah, you're in an emotional battle, and the first month is always the hardest because, you're dealing with the sting of rejection, as well as, even if you're the one who broke it off with them, there's still that sting, because sometimes we are forced to break up with people, because of their behavior. I have several clients who are in that situation, and I've been in that situation myself, right? So it's not easy sometimes being the one who breaks up, okay? Because sometimes you're forced to. You know that this is not healthy, and I love this person, and I want to be with this person, but it cannot continue the way it is, right? So the main reason that I want everyone's attention to be on with this particular video is that not taking this battle seriously enough, underestimating your opponents. That's what's basically going on, is you're underestimating how aggressive these thoughts are. And it requires you to really wake up. It requires you to really take this seriously if you want to move on, right? At the end of the day, it all comes down to you and how badly do you want this. Like, are you content with waking up every morning and just thinking of them, or going to bed and thinking of them? And, are you content with that? I know that most of us out there are not. We want to be free. We want to get on with our lives, right? But it's just hard, right? The temptation to scratch the itch is there. But every time you resist to scratch the itch, you get stronger and you'll feel differently. And it's a victory against the swarm of bees in your mind, the swarm of thoughts of that person. So you can go through all the videos I've made about this, and you can also, go through like all the steps that I have found are the best steps, to help with addiction, with withdrawal, to whatever it is. It doesn't have to be trying to get past an ex or porn or, just it can be someone who's irritating you, someone at work who's just in your head and trying to bother you, or someone at the gym, or someone in life. It could be a family member, whatever. Just one of those thoughts, right, that sticks in your head, and then it starts to grow. The more, remember, how does it grow? The more and more you give it attention and power, that's how it starts to spread and grow. So let's talk about, and again, we're going to be recapping a lot of things that I've already said in many videos, but let's just go through them again, in case anyone's watching this video for the first time. So I don't believe that the best solution is to try to stop thinking of them. I believe the best solution is first to take the fuel away, take their energy away, take their power away. You'll see, like, for example, now in modern warfare, they're becoming, the generals, are becoming a lot smarter. They've learned from the past mistakes, like the Vietnam War, the World War II, all the wars that have happened in the past have helped generals to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And what they're finding works the best is not so much sending an army out to try to crush someone like ISIS or any other army. But what they've found works best is when you take away their power, right? Take away their money, right? So they target their money, their financing, and then they let them starve, right? It's the same thing with the swarm of thoughts. It's like this invading army. What you want to do is take away its energy, its power. How? No contact is an important one. No contact is for when you've tried everything, you've communicated to them, well, why are you unhappy? Why do you want it to be over? You've gone through all of that. Even like maybe you've done the begging and all of that. No contact is for moving forward. It's like a cast on a broken arm. It's there to protect you so that you can heal. It's not for you to try to get your ex back, okay? No contact, when I talk about it, is always about healing, okay? So how do you take the power away from that invading army of thoughts that's in your head? You got to de-energize it. Take the power away. How? No contact. Not looking at their Instagram. We call that no information. Not going on their Twitter. Not seeing what they're doing. Telling all mutual friends that, hey, look, I don't want to hear anything new about them. Okay? It basically removing as much as possible from your life that will bring them to mind. Now, is that going to get rid of all the swarm of bees that's already in there? No. But what you've done is you've cut their water supply, and bees need water. That's their primary thing to survive. So you take away their water supply. You take away their food supply, right? And then what's left in your head is, yes, there's a swarm of bees, but they're going to start dying, right? And you're going to start bombarding them now. But the first thing is no contact. Number 2, no information about them. That's the first thing. Cut their power. Then you start to smash them and reduce their numbers. And there is a ton of ways to do that, and I've talked about them throughout my videos. And my favorite ways, or what I have found to be the most effective ways, not just with myself, but with everybody that I work with, and just just from life. You learn from life. You see things, you observe, you see what works, what doesn't. What works is not trying to stop thinking of them, because that's impossible, right? The swarm is there. Your mind is designed to think, and your mind is currently full of thoughts of them because, why? Because for months or years or however long you've spent being infatuated with this person, and remember what infatuated means. It means your attention has been extremely on them. Maybe every day you're thinking of them, so that's how you've been powering them up, right? It's like, and I described this to one of my clients yesterday, it's basically like, imagine you've been doing push-ups non-stop for a year. Your arms are now strong as fuck, your chest is becoming strong as fuck, your neck, you've become a push-up machine. In other words, because of your infatuation, or because you've been thinking of them over and over and over, you've made thinking of them this powerful muscle in your mind. So you wake up in the morning and you're just conditioned and you're programmed to think of them. That's what you've turned yourself into. You've turned yourself into a thinking machine of whether it's your ex or if it's money or whatever it is you're obsessing about that's hurting you. On a quick side note, remember, obsession, infatuation aren't necessarily bad things. You can take that obsessive muscle that you've strengthened and channel it into something like sports or your work. And what I have found with a lot of people I work with, is they start to become incredibly successful at sports, or even if they have never trained before, or at their job. I see that a lot. They start making a lot more money. They become a lot more, not competitive, they become a lot more successful at work. They start side businesses. So you get to see where when they're able to channel and divert that powerful muscle that they've been training for a year, thinking, that obsessive, compulsive, thinking, when they're able to channel it into something else, then it's just incredibly powerful. And the greatest champions on earth are obsessed. They're obsessive. So obsessiveness is an incredible, powerful tool that you can use. So step one, take away the power and energy from the swarm of thoughts that's in your mind. Actually, prior to that step, the overriding step of all is understand. Don't underestimate your adversary, your opponent. You're dealing with something serious. So get serious about this. That's the most important thing. Then the next step is take away the power. Cut the power supply. Okay? Once you've cut this power supply, then you can start to smash what's in there. We do a lot of smashing with counterbalancing. Counterbalancing is basically offering counter perspectives or counter thoughts to those thoughts that are in there. So there's going to be a ton of B's, and each B is like a different thought. One thought's going to be, why isn't my ex contacting me? Why doesn't they want to, or why aren't they at least just saying hi or checking in on me? Don't they even care? Did they ever care? These are all thoughts. There's hundreds of them. So you'll think there's hundreds of them, right? But there's just 5 or 6 or 7 or 10, but hundreds of variations of those thoughts, slightly different. And that's all the B's in there. So when you go in there, the way to start smashing those B's is to offer, you've got to almost be like a lawyer. You've got to stand up for yourself. So when the thought comes into your mind of, let me use as an example the same person. So yeah, it was. Here's one of the thoughts rattling in this person in my client's mind is, I'm obsessed with wanting him to tell me why he is not contacting me or trying to be at least friends, right? So that's a B. That's one of the annoying B's that's like in there, right? So how would you deal with that is come up with an explanation that serves you. Counter thoughts, not just one. For every B, you should do 3 counterbalances. One of my favorite counterbalances of all is, my happiness should not be dependent on another person. My happiness is not dependent on another person, right? We shouldn't be depending on other people to make us feel whole and complete and happy. No, right? That's one of my favorites, but you can dig deeper, and counterbalancing is an art form. You'll get better at it. The deeper you dig, the more attention you put on this technique, the better you will get at it. And then you'll start to find truth. You'll start to realize, God, my way of thinking is just not correct. It's not helping me. So, and this leads me to the other reason for why you find it difficult to move forward and you still keep thinking of them is because these thoughts are recurring because they haven't been processed. It's like food that's sitting in your stomach, not being digested because you're not excreting the stomach acid to digest and process it. It's just sitting there, it's waiting. Same with those thoughts. Those thoughts will keep coming back and back and back until you deal with them. It's like a little baby or a little child saying, but why, but why, but why, until you finally get through to that child. And that child is like, oh, I get it now, right? That's what you have to do for yourself, is you've got to find a path, create a path out of it. So if you've got someone at work who's bullying you or irritating you or trying to get into your head, a great counter thought to that is, they're trying to get into my head for a reason, because they're probably afraid of me, jealous, or They want my power. Their attention is on me at the end of the day. Why? Because it's either that they're threatened or because they want some of that power. They're looking up at me. I'm interesting to them. I'm relevant to them. There's something about me that they want, right? Now, it's up to you to come up with the best. What I'm going to do for myself may not work for everyone else. So you've got to speak through your own words, through your own language, right? As you can tell, it's a big topic, right? And just understanding how your mind works is very important. So I hope I've covered some of that. And yeah, there's a ton. You've got to have a ton. You can't just use the plaster or the stucco. You've got to use the iron wool too, right? So that's why we've got tons of techniques. Don't try to stop the thinking. Just cut the power to the thoughts and then start smashing them. And what do we have? We've got the journaling, counterbalancing that I just covered, journaling gratitude every night before you go to bed. That's another technique and tool that's going to be in your toolbox. So you've got the iron wool, you've got the stucco, but then you've got loads more. We've got puke list, which is very important. The puke list is basically write a list of all the reasons why it's a great thing that now you're free and independent. I can't go into too much detail because then this video is going to be like hours long, but I'm just doing a quick, on some of the tools just to give you an idea. Another great tool is out with the old and in with the new. Go through everything in your life. Start with your clothes. Throw away old clothes, old underwears, old shirts, old jeans. Just throw them away, get rid of them, or sell them, or donate them. And then once you've done that, bring some new things in. Why? Because when you bring new things in, it's taking space in your mind. It's like the opposite of bees. You're putting new thoughts in your head. Go to new restaurants. Those are new memories that you'll be creating. Again, you're going to be flooding your mind with good bees, with the great like white blood cells or whatever you want to call them. Okay? With good thoughts. You're creating a swarm of healthy, good thoughts. And, what's going on out there? Oh, those things are loud. So what happens is, and a great way, one of the things that taught me about this is, it's like a garden, right? The more flowers and other plants you plant in that garden, the less room there will be for the weeds to grow. And that's what you want to do, is you want to fill this garden with as many good plants and flowers and fruit trees as you can, right? The more and more you fill it up with good things, the less space there is for the weeds to grow, or the bees. The bees will have less room to survive. They're eventually going to leave. They're going to go, right? So it's not about stopping your thoughts. I get that a lot. How do I stop thinking about them? You're not going to stop thinking about them. Those thoughts are going to be in there, but they'll slowly start dying. You got to deal with them in the right way, okay? So doing gratitude, the puke list, out with the old, in with the new, journaling counterbalances. And then this is a very important step here. It's create daily, weekly, monthly schedule of activities. So forecast. Weekends can be the hardest if you're going through a difficult breakup. So plan ahead so that you're prepared. You know what you're going to do on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Try to plan and create a schedule. Create a routine every week. Monday through Thursday, I'm going to be at the gym. And I'm going to have this and this and this for dinner. I'm going to watch these TV shows. I'm going to do these activities. Friday, I'm going to do something different. Saturday is going to be my going out of town day. Sunday. So it takes work, right? What else have we got here? Yeah, and above all, right, I've left it for the end, is ask yourself, do you have goals in life? What are those goals? So create long-term goals and objectives. Create short-term goals. Like for me, like a short-term goal would be a jiu-jitsu competition I have in a week, or a marathon that I'm going to do, or a book that I'm going to write. That's more of a long-term goal. Or a school that maybe one day I'll open. It's a long-term goal. Or a movie that I'm going to make. Those are the seeds that you want to start watering in your head. And every time you decide, okay, well, I'm going to create a new goal. I want to write a book. You've just created a seed. And every time you think about that goal or give that goal attention, you're watering that seed. And that seed will grow in your mind, and it will take up more room and give less room for the unhealthy seeds that we tend to grow as well. All right, so I hope that helps. One final thing I recently added to the my toolbox that I use to help coach everybody is mourn, cry. I talk about it a lot, but I never added it to my list of tools. But it's a very important step, which is why I've added it. If you're going through something difficult, like a breakup or withdrawal or whatever from anything, cry. Spend 5 minutes a day, or 5 to 10 minutes max, to just allow yourself to cry, to mourn, to scream into a pillow, make some noise. Inhale and go, ah, make some noise, whatever it is. And for those of you who use these videos to go to bed to, I'm sorry about that noise I just made. I'm going to make some proper audios that you guys can download and, listen to. But it's a very important thing, because if you hold yourself and let it build and build and build, you'll do well for like a week or 2 weeks, and then you'll suddenly collapse for a few days and be like, oh, it's not working, none of this is working, because you've been building it and building and building, and then it's not the way to do it. It's better to live everyday balance. Don't do too much good stuff every day, because you'll get tired, you'll burn yourself out, and you'll get bored, and you'll just hate the process. But do little every day, and allow yourself to mourn every day. We're not going cold turkey here. You got to phase it out, right? Phase it out. You're not going to go from, complete, breakdown to overnight success and happiness. No, phase it out. So every day, release it, express your anger, express it productively, creatively, not destructively, right? Cry, if you want to look at their photo, it's fine, and cry if that helps you. Whatever you want to do to help you release those emotions, it's good, it's healthy, and it's going to help you speed the whole process up. Okay, so I hope this helps. Sending everybody out there all the very best. Take this shit seriously. Okay, thoughts are tough opponents, and they're relentless, and they'll keep growing, especially if you fuel them. So cut their fuel supply, start smashing them with as many techniques, not just the techniques I talk about and I love and I share, not just these techniques, but anything else that you find out there that serves you. Remember, serves you means strengthens you, inspires you, motivates you, puts you on the right path for long-term health and happiness, not short-term. Okay? And yeah, I'll definitely keep making more. I want to try to move out of this topic a little bit more and into other things. Like when I started making videos, it was literally I just wanted to talk about anything that came to my mind, right? But of course, along this path of making videos, it seems that what a lot of people have, gravitated towards is the breakups. And I think it's an amazing topic, because the topic of a breakup has a lot to do with everything in life anyway, which is us being dependent on something else. And then once our dependency, which all dependencies will come to an end someday. Nothing on this earth belongs to us forever. Even your body, your money, your friends, your family. Humans, we want things to last forever. We want to take a picture and look at the picture and caress it and, love it and hold it. But it's not going to last. Nothing's going to last. Everything is in a constant state of fleetingness, if that's even a word, right? So everything is fleeting, and I'm not saying that you have to like let go of everything and be this spiritual Buddhist. No, but have more of a balance. You don't want to be too dependent on things. Always remember, everything will nothing lasts forever, but that's a good thing, because imagine if shitty things lasted forever. That would suck, right? So nothing lasts forever, and be grateful for that. Okay? Because as one door closes, another door opens, right? So embrace a new chapter, be grateful for the previous chapters, and go into the new chapters better, stronger, wiser, more loving, more passionate, more amazing than before. And you can do it, okay? All right, everybody, sending you out there all the best, and talk to you all soon. Bye.